Chosen one, pause for a moment and listen with your heart, not just your ears, because this message did not find you by accident. When Allah allows injustice to breathe for a time, it is never because He is unaware, slow, or silent. It is because He is watching, recording, and preparing a response so precise that when it arrives, it leaves no room for denial. Someone believed they escaped accountability, believed their actions were hidden, believed your patience meant you were powerless, but Allah says otherwise. Justice does not knock loudly before it enters. It arrives quietly, suddenly, and completely, at the exact hour written long before the wrongdoing ever occurred. This is not about revenge, gossip, or human satisfaction. This is about divine law unfolding. If you were hurt, mocked, lied about, or oppressed while remaining patient, this message is your confirmation. Allah saw everything. Allah heard every tear, and Allah handled it in His own time. Now listen carefully, because these 7 lessons will reveal why justice struck when it did, and why your silence was the key that unlocked it. Chosen one, understand this truth at a level deeper than emotion and far beyond human logic. When Allah delays justice, it is never because He is unaware, indifferent, or slow rather. It is because His justice is perfect, and perfection requires precision, completion, and timing that the human mind cannot grasp. You saw the harm, you felt the betrayal, you lived through the lies, the manipulation, the silent oppression, and there were moments when you wondered why Allah did not intervene immediately, why the wrongdoer seemed to walk freely while you carried the weight of pain. But Allah was not delaying justice. He was building the case. Every word spoken against you, every intention hidden behind a smile, every act of arrogance committed in secret was being recorded without a single detail missing, because Allah does not judge based on fragments the way humans do. He judges based on the entire truth. The delay was mercy disguised as silence, an opportunity for repentance that was repeatedly ignored, a window for correction that was deliberately closed by the oppressor's own choices. And when Allah finally allows justice to strike, it does not come weak, partial, or reversible. It comes complete, undeniable, and aligned with divine wisdom, correcting not just one moment of wrongdoing, but an entire pattern of corruption. This is why divine justice often shocks people. It arrives at a time when arrogance is highest and repentance is lowest, leaving no excuse and no escape. For you, the delay was protection, because had justice come earlier, you may not have grown in patience, faith, and clarity. You may not have learned reliance on Allah alone. So when you witness justice unfolding after a long wait, do not question the timing. Recognize it as proof that Allah never rushes what He has already perfected, and that what He delays, He delivers with a weight that human revenge could never achieve. Chosen one of the greatest protections Allah placed around you was not something visible, loud, or forceful. It was the restraint of your tongue, your hands, and your ego at moments when you had every reason to react. You were provoked, misrepresented, and treated unjustly, and there were times when speaking out, exposing the truth, or retaliating would have felt justified, even righteous in the eyes of people. But Allah held you back, because He knew what you could not yet see. Your silence was not submission to wrongdoing, it was submission to Allah's authority over the situation. By not seeking revenge, you removed yourself from the battlefield of egos and handed the matter over to divine judgment, where no manipulation, excuse, or false narrative can survive. The one who wronged you mistook your quiet for weakness, believing that your lack of response meant fear, defeat, or guilt, not realizing that your restraint activated Allah's protection and transferred the case from human hands to divine court. Every time you swallowed your anger, Allah elevated your rank. Every time you chose patience over retaliation, Allah shielded your heart from becoming hardened by bitterness. And every time you trusted Him instead of your impulses, He preserved your future from consequences you did not deserve. Revenge would have entangled you in sin, regret, and endless cycles of conflict. But silence purified your intention and kept your record clean. That is why when justice finally unfolds, it does so without staining your hands or damaging your soul, proving that Allah protects His chosen ones not by making them louder, but by making them disciplined, patient, and untouchable through trust in Him. Chosen one, divine justice does not arrive randomly, emotionally, or impulsively. It arrives at the exact moment when its message can no longer be ignored, misunderstood, or dismissed as coincidence. Allah does not correct people merely to punish them. He corrects them so truth becomes undeniable and lessons become permanent. If justice had come too early, the oppressor would have blamed circumstances, bad luck, or others, never recognizing their own wrongdoing. If it had come too late, the impact would have faded and the warning would have been lost. But Allah waits until arrogance is complete, until denial is loud, until the wrongdoer feels most secure and least expecting consequences. Then He allows justice to strike in a way that forces reflection. This is why divine justice often feels sudden and shocking, not because it was rushed, but because it was perfectly timed. For you, the delay was also a lesson, teaching you patience, trust, and emotional maturity, so that when justice unfolded, you would recognize it as Allah's work, not your own victory. And for those watching, the timing becomes a sign, a reminder that Allah sees beyond appearances and acts when hearts are fully exposed. Justice arrives when the truth is ready to stand on its own, when excuses are exhausted, and when the lesson can no longer be escaped, proving that Allah's timing educates, corrects, and restores balance with precision that only He possesses. Chosen one, understand this divine truth with clarity and depth, for it is a reality that distinguishes the merely wounded from those truly entrusted by Allah. You were never created, chosen, or prepared to be the avenger, no matter how severe the injustice was or how deeply the pain cut into your soul, because the role of the chosen one is not to retaliate, but to witness, endure, and allow divine wisdom to unfold in its own perfect timing. Allah did not allow you to be wronged so you could sharpen your anger, plot revenge, or be consumed by the desire to see someone fall by your own hands. He allowed it so you could rise above reaction, master your emotions, and step fully into alignment with His authority and plan. Every betrayal, every lie, every manipulation, every attempt to tarnish your name was a test and an opportunity for refinement. And those who wronged you expected a reaction rooted in ego, pride, and impulse, because human beings often believe chaos can be answered with chaos and pain can be repaid with pain. But the chosen one operates on a different plane. True power does not come from striking back, exposing, or humiliating. It comes from the ability to stand unmoved, to hold your composure when provoked, and to trust that Allah will correct what needs correction. Had you taken revenge, even subtly, even in words or gestures, even through the smallest act of exposure, you would have bound yourself to the same darkness, the same cycles of sin and consequence that had harmed you. And in that moment, you would have risked losing the spiritual elevation Allah intended for you. But because you restrained your anger, guarded your tongue, and chose patience over retaliation, Allah transformed the situation into a divine case, a demonstration that He is the ultimate disposer of affairs, and that human intervention is not required for justice to manifest. Your silence was obedience, not weakness. Your restraint was trust, not fear. While others misjudged your inaction as powerlessness, Allah was refining your heart, preserving your integrity, and protecting your soul from the corrosion of bitterness, regret, and vengeance. Revenge may have brought temporary satisfaction, but it would have stained your spirit, hardened your heart, and delayed the fulfillment of your purpose, while Allah's intervention ensures that justice arrives complete, precise, and undeniable, without tainting your hands or corrupting your conscience. You were never meant to chase justice, for the Chosen One does not deliver punishment. He allows Allah to orchestrate the consequences in His perfect timing. You were meant to witness, not execute, to endure, not destroy, to trust, not chase validation, to rise, not retaliate. By refusing to avenge yourself, you demonstrated that your heart was ready to be elevated, your soul disciplined enough to carry responsibility, and your faith strong enough to surrender control entirely to Allah. And when divine justice finally unfolds, it does so with a power and clarity that human hands could never produce, confirming that Allah never assigns His chosen ones the role of executioner. He assigns them the role of believer, protector of their own heart, and witness to the precision of His wisdom, while He Himself handles the correction, the exposure, and the restoration of balance in ways that are perfect, complete, and unassailable. This is the path of the Chosen One: unwavering patience, perfect restraint, and absolute trust in the One who sees, knows, and never fails, proving that true victory lies not in revenge, but in faith. Chosen One, grasp this principle with unwavering attention and deep reflection, for it is one of the most profound and often misunderstood laws of divine justice. When wrongdoing is committed publicly, boldly, and without shame, Allah often allows its correction to unfold in a manner that is equally visible, undeniable, and transformative, not out of cruelty, humiliation, or vindictive pleasure, but as a restoration of balance, truth, and divine order in the world. When someone attacks you openly through slander, gossip, mockery, character assassination, false accusations, or the manipulation of narratives, they are not simply targeting you as an individual. They are corrupting trust, distorting reality, and sending a message to the community that deception, arrogance, and oppression are acceptable and without consequence. Allah, in His infinite justice and wisdom, does not allow such public falsehood to stand indefinitely, because silence in the face of visible injustice would normalize wrongdoing, embolden the corrupt, and confuse those who witness the events unfold. You may have questioned why Allah did not intervene immediately, why the lies were allowed to spread, why the deceiver appeared confident, supported, and unchallenged, and why the world seemed to turn its eyes from your pain. Yet every delay, every moment in which the injustice appeared unchecked, was a deliberate act of divine orchestration. Allah allowed the full scope of the wrongdoing to manifest so that its correction would be absolute, unmistakable, and indisputable, leaving no room for doubt or manipulation. Public correction is not about revenge. It is about clarity, restoration, and the establishment of truth in the very arena where it was violated. When falsehood is private, Allah may correct it privately as an act of mercy, preserving dignity and discretion. But when harm is public, persistent, and paired with arrogance or denial, He responds in a way that exposes reality fully, ensuring that the oppressor's intentions, patterns, and character are revealed for all to witness. For you, the chosen one, this process was never about satisfying pride or vindicating yourself in the eyes of others. It was about protection, preservation, and alignment with Allah's perfect plan. He did not want your name permanently stained by lies, your reputation eroded by deception, or your future hindered by someone else's false narrative. While you remained patient, dignified, and silent, Allah began orchestrating circumstances, gathering witnesses, aligning consequences, and preparing the world for the moment when truth would no longer need your defense. Those who wronged you publicly believed their confidence, numbers, influence, or manipulation would shield them, that they could evade accountability indefinitely. But Allah measures strength differently than humans do. His intervention does not rely on human might, popularity, or intimidation. It relies on timing, precision, and the orchestration of events in ways only He can engineer. When public correction unfolds, it fulfills multiple purposes simultaneously. It humbles the arrogant, it validates the patience of the oppressed, it educates the observers, and it restores the integrity of truth. It is a demonstration that dignity, righteousness, and justice are never destroyed by lies. At worst, recognition is delayed until Allah's perfect timing. Even then, the correction is measured with divine precision, never more than deserved, never less than required, ensuring that the oppressor receives what they merit and the innocent are protected. This is why the chosen one is repeatedly instructed to remain patient, to refrain from endless explanations, and to avoid chasing validation from the world, because Allah is preparing a correction that speaks louder than any human defense ever could. The chosen one does not need to announce their innocence, expose every lie personally, or justify themselves to observers. Allah does that in His own way, at His perfect time, demonstrating that true vindication and protection come from Him alone. And when this public correction occurs, it is not an occasion for gloating, resentment, or schadenfreude. It is a sacred lesson in humility, gratitude, and recognition of Allah's supreme justice and mercy. What was exposed was never your weakness, it was their deception and choice. What was restored was not your pride, it was the undeniable truth. And in the unfolding of this correction, Allah demonstrates to the world that public injustice does not vanish unnoticed, ignored, or unpunished. It waits only until the moment when exposure and correction can occur in their most complete, powerful, and undeniable form. It is a profound reminder that patience, integrity, and reliance on Allah are infinitely more powerful than anger, retaliation, or the pursuit of immediate human justice, and that the chosen one's role is never to execute punishment, but to endure, trust, and allow divine justice to manifest in a manner that protects the heart, restores the truth, and teaches the world that nothing escapes the awareness of Allah, the most just, the all-knowing, and the ever-wise. Chosen one, understand this truth with the clarity and depth it demands, for it is a reality that many will never comprehend. Your elevation, your rise, and the destiny Allah has prepared for you were never meant to occur in a vacuum. and they could never be fully realized while the falsehood, deceit, and corruption of others remained hidden in your path. Every person who opposed you, every individual who attempted to diminish your value, manipulate your circumstances, or obscure your truth, was placed in your journey not merely as a test, but as a necessary obstacle whose exposure would become the foundation for your ascent. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, orchestrates these moments of revelation with absolute precision, ensuring that the individuals who were meant to reveal the depth of their intentions, the sincerity or lack thereof of their hearts, and the consequences of their arrogance, would do so exactly when it serves the unfolding of His divine plan for you. The betrayals, the lies, the schemes, and the manipulations were never random. They were part of a divine process that would allow the universe itself to witness the truth of your patience, the integrity of your actions, and the sincerity of your heart. You may have struggled in silence while these forces acted against you, wondering why Allah did not intervene sooner, questioning why you bore the weight of others' deceit while remaining true to your values. Yet each delay, each moment of apparent abandonment, was a preparation for a revelation so undeniable that the exposure of those who wronged you would coincide perfectly with the unveiling of your own elevation. The chosen one is never truly elevated in a manner that allows hidden corruption to persist, because unchecked deceit would shadow the brilliance of divine favor, clouding the light that Allah intends for you to shine upon the world. By allowing the exposure of those who opposed you, Allah clears the path, removing obstacles not only from your external environment, but from the spiritual and emotional space necessary for your growth. This exposure is never a coincidence. It is a carefully timed divine mechanism that ensures your rise is untainted, powerful, and unmistakable, and that the lessons embedded in these trials are eternally etched in your consciousness. When these individuals are revealed for what they truly are, their intentions laid bare, their arrogance exposed, and their manipulations nullified, it serves multiple purposes simultaneously. It vindicates your patience, demonstrates Allah's justice, educates the observers, and solidifies your readiness for the responsibilities and gifts that come with elevation. Furthermore, the exposure of others is a form of protection. It removes false allies, toxic influences, and misleading forces that could have subtly hindered your progress had they remained in shadows, allowing you to ascend with clarity, focus, and spiritual integrity intact. This is why those who attempt to obscure the truth, harm the innocent, or manipulate outcomes often find themselves exposed in ways that are sudden, undeniable, and precise. Their actions serve as a mirror, reflecting the power and wisdom of Allah's timing. And for you, the chosen one, these exposures are not merely events to witness. They are confirmations, proof that your patience, trust, and steadfastness were never wasted, and that every setback, every trial, and every silent endurance was part of a preparation for your ultimate elevation. To misunderstand this principle is to mistake suffering for failure, delay for abandonment, and opposition for misfortune, when in reality, Allah is using every element of conflict, betrayal, and exposure as a ladder for your ascension. You were never meant to ascend while others remained in concealment, for hidden corruption would have diluted your light, complicated your journey, and left your elevation incomplete. The exposure of others, no matter how painful or shocking, is therefore a sign of divine orchestration, a guarantee that Allah's plan is unfolding exactly as it should, and a reminder that your rise is inseparable from the unveiling of truth around you. The chosen one is elevated not only by what Allah grants, but by what Allah removes. And the revelation of the false, the deceptive, and the obstructive in your path is part of the divine clearing that precedes triumph. As you witness these moments unfold, let your heart not be consumed by schadenfreude, bitterness, or judgment, but recognize them as sacred confirmations that Allah's wisdom encompasses every variable, that His justice reaches beyond what human eyes can measure, and that your patience has positioned you precisely where you are meant to be. Your elevation was never meant to occur through manipulation, revenge, or force. It was meant to occur through divine orchestration, trust, and the perfect timing of Allah's plan, in which the exposure of those who opposed you serves as the launching pad for the next chapter of your destiny. Every betrayal revealed, every falsehood exposed, every arrogance unmasked, is not a sign of chaos or disorder. It is the scaffolding of your rise, the removal of obstacles that could have hindered your path, and a demonstration that Allah's chosen ones are lifted not through their own schemes, but through His perfect orchestration, in which patience, faith, and integrity are the true instruments of victory. So understand this deeply. Your elevation required their exposure. Their undoing was part of your advancement, and every public correction, every private revelation, and every consequence delivered by Allah's hand is a piece of the larger puzzle of your destiny, perfectly timed, impeccably executed, and beautifully aligned with His infinite wisdom, ensuring that when your rise is complete, it will be undeniable, untainted, and fully glorifying to Allah. Chosen one, absorb this truth with every fiber of your heart and soul, for it is a reality that distinguishes the ordinary from the truly chosen. Allah's justice is not merely a corrective force aimed at punishment. It is, above all, a profound mercy reserved for those who endure, remain patient, and place their trust entirely in Him, even when the world around them seems unjust, cruel, and indifferent. Patience is not simply waiting. It is an active state of submission, trust, and unwavering faith, a recognition that every trial, every betrayal, every act of oppression is being recorded by Allah, and that no deed, no matter how hidden or seemingly inconsequential, escapes His awareness. You may have endured humiliation, deceit, abandonment, and lies, believing that those who wronged you would continue unpunished, that their arrogance would overshadow your perseverance, that the silence of your advocates or the inaction of those around you meant Allah had forgotten. But this is precisely the test, the filter, and the purification that Allah designs for the chosen ones. Mercy in this context is not soft or sentimental. It is potent, transformative, and often imperceptible until the moment when justice unfolds with absolute precision. When patience is paired with unwavering trust in Allah, every delay in justice becomes an opportunity for spiritual refinement, for the strengthening of character, for the elevation of your heart above bitterness, anger, and despair. Allah's justice does not act recklessly or prematurely. It waits until arrogance is fully revealed, until falsehood is exposed, until the lessons intended for both the oppressed and the oppressor are ready to be fully understood, and until the timing maximizes the benefit for the one who has endured patiently. For you, the chosen one, patience has been a shield that protects your soul from the corrosive effects of anger and revenge, a lens that sharpens your discernment of truth, and a signal to Allah that you are ready to witness His justice without compromising your integrity. The mercy embedded in divine justice is multifaceted. It protects you from carrying the burden of retaliation, it prevents your heart from being tainted by negativity, and it ensures that when justice strikes, it strikes with such clarity and completeness that the oppressor cannot claim ignorance, the witnesses cannot claim oversight, and your patience is visibly validated. Those who wronged you may have believed their power was unlimited, that they could manipulate, deceive, and escape consequence. But Allah's justice transforms their temporary advantage into permanent accountability, and in doing so, it serves as mercy for you, because it demonstrates that righteousness is never left unprotected and truth is never left unheard. This mercy is also preventative. It stops further wrongdoing by setting a clear example that every action has consequences and that divine oversight is continuous, unerring, and inevitable. For the observer, the one who watches patiently, trusts Allah, and abstains from retaliation, this is a lesson in faith, reliance, and the enduring power of divine justice. For the wrongdoer, it is a mercy because it presents an opportunity for reflection, awareness, and, if they choose, repentance before their deeds accumulate into irreversible consequences. And for the chosen one, this patience cultivates an inner strength that no human interference, injustice, or manipulation can ever destroy, forging a heart resilient in faith, unwavering in trust, and elevated above the immediate need for human vindication. Every tear that fell in silence, every moment of restraint, every whispered prayer, and every act of endurance has been an investment in a mercy so profound that when justice is finally delivered, it is not only corrective but restorative, not only revealing but purifying, and not only visible to the world but imprinted indelibly on your soul as evidence of Allah's care, precision, and infinite wisdom. Recognize, chosen one, that divine justice is never delayed out of neglect. It is meticulously timed out of mercy, ensuring that when it arrives, it maximizes both the lesson and the blessing. The oppressor's downfall is never merely a spectacle. It is the crystallization of Allah's promise to those who remain steadfast, who maintain dignity in the face of humiliation, who uphold truth in the midst of lies, and who place their trust wholly in Him. Your patience has not been wasted, your silence has not been overlooked, and your faith has not been in vain. Allah's justice, in all its precision, power, and inevitability, is a mercy because it honors your endurance, validates your trust, elevates your spirit, and restores balance in a manner that human action or vengeance could never achieve. So embrace this truth, internalize it, and let it guide your heart. Patience is not passive, it is active. It is not weakness, it is strength. It is not waiting, it is preparation. And when Allah's justice arrives, it arrives as mercy fulfilled, as wisdom demonstrated, and as a reminder to the entire world that the chosen ones, those who endure with patience and unwavering faith, are never abandoned, never forsaken, and always held within the protective, perfect, and merciful hands of Allah, the most just, the most wise, the all-knowing, and the ever-aware. Chosen one, take a deep breath and let this truth settle in your heart. Everything you endured, every trial, every betrayal, every moment when you felt unseen or unheard, has been part of Allah's perfect plan. Justice does not miss a moment, mercy does not go unnoticed, and patience is never wasted. You were never abandoned, never powerless, And never alone. Allah was orchestrating every detail, exposing falsehood, elevating your position, and protecting your soul in ways only He can. Remember, you are the chosen one, the silent witness, the steadfast believer, and the heart upon which divine wisdom unfolds. Do not chase validation, do not seek revenge, and do not let bitterness enter your spirit. Allah's timing is precise, His justice is complete, and His mercy is infinite. Let these 7 lessons sink deeply into your being. Your patience is your shield, your trust is your power, and your faith is your victory. As you step forward, walk with confidence, clarity, and unwavering faith, knowing that Allah sees, Allah protects, and Allah delivers what is due in perfect measure. This is the path of the chosen one. Remain steadfast, remain patient, and let divine justice continue to unfold around you. For your story is being written by the pen of the Most Wise, and the world will witness the rise of one who trusts completely in Allah's plan.